Hello, welcome back. This is the Tone Deaf Monk. Today I am bringing you iBasso's latest portable amplifier. This is the PB6. It's $499. This is a hybrid amplifier, Class AB or Raytheon Jan tubes, the miniature tubes. Now this is not a source, and I'm going to go over this review and with the case use of why you might consider this. Let's first talk about, I'll talk about what's in the box briefly. It comes in this, like a lot of their stuff these days, coming with these kind of leatherette little boxes. Kind of nice. You can use it for storage for something else if you wanted to, because it looks nice. Inside comes this blue, they call it a blue soft case. It's a blue velour bag, and there comes with two other little sacks, and inside the sacks is a USB-A to USB-C. I wish you iBasso would now switch that from USB-A to USB-C to C. That would be nice to see. And a couple patch cords, 3.5 to 3.5 single-ended and 4.4 to 4.4 balanced. So that's what's in the box. And of course, one more thing, which is this. This is the 12 volt power supply, and that uses that 1.35 millimeter end to it, which this piece is exactly the same charger that comes with the DX340 DAC. So there is that, which is nice, because if you have both, like I do, I leave one upstairs and I leave one downstairs, so I always have one. But I also have some portable linear power supplies and a stationary one, so I'm set for that. On the layout, we'll go over that quickly. On the front, these little elbows here to, must be Canadian, eh? Keep that elbows up. A nice volume control knob. I'll touch base of that in a little bit. Two recessed ports, one that has your inputs closer to the volume control knob and outputs closer to the outside of the case. On the back side, there is your 12 volt power input. There is your USB-C charge port. There is a light beside each one of those that when you plug it in and are charging, it will light up. Orange for the 12 volt and multicolor for the charging lights. So from green, continuing on to blue to red flashing fast. It means you're pretty much dead. There is a high to low level little toggle switch. There is another switch, which called BW, bandwidth, high and low. And then there's a little button on the side that says tube or AB. Pretty simple. On the top, when you turn it on, actually, I'll let you listen to that. It has a nice clicky sound. Inside you can see this kind of like Faraday cage and two sets of LEDs glowing behind the Jan tube. So that is the PB6 in a nutshell. So like I said, there's a hybrid amp. So this is a Class AB balanced amp. How does that part sound? Let's just touch base with that right now. Easy. Sounds very clean, very powerful. Packed full of dynamics, very nice, uncolored, powerful, dynamic, great words to describe this amplifier. On the other side of things, there's the Raytheon Jan 6418 tubes. Now here, I'm going to say this again to those of you, you know I don't like blowing smoke up your bunghole. There is a slight coloration to the tubey side without sacrificing the top end details. It doesn't round them off too much, or the resolution is just still primo right there. There is a hint of that tubey analog distortion. So me, I like E. I do. But for you, I'm going to say this again, and this really applies to every device that I have tested with these Raytheon Jan tubes. Don't expect a massive tonal change. So curb your expectations. But yes, it does make an audible difference, and it's nice. And I'd like the implementation done in this one as well. Just like the Nunchaku, just like Amp 16 for the DX series, it has a slight coloration to the sound, an analogness. So, and this is really, that mode is best for adding some throwback memories to our vinyl and tape days, or at least mine anyway, for those of us that are old enough to and lucky enough to experience music prior to iPods, when we had record players and tape decks and reel-to-reel, right? Keeping it real. And it's funny, though, with all these devices coming out, I can't help but not think that we're trying to throw back to the good old days, and the PB6 does it very, very well with a modern twist. Well, now that I've told you how it sounds, let's do some things that I like about this unit. Well, number one, I put on my list, price to power and performance is great. For many fanboys, including myself, we were kind of surprised to see the PB6 listed for under $500. So thank you for that. Not everything has to go up, and I love it. For those of you who want some serious oomph, in battery mode, in single-ended, this thing gives you 660 milliwatts of power at 32 ohm load, and in balanced mode, 1600 milliwatts. That's a lot of juice, even in single-ended. When you plug in the 12-volt power supply in desktop mode, it does bypass the battery, and in balanced only will give you that bump up to that impressive 2300. And in single-ended mode, it still stays at 660. So if you really want some juice and you want to feed it out, feed it in, 12-volt, send it signal out balanced. So, and the whole reason to answer that question of do I need this amplifier was that 2300 watts, or even the 1600 for that matter. And for me, yes, because some of my DAPs that I do like, I like them, but they run out of power when I have harder to drive stuff, IEMs and headphones, to drive them properly. The big one, the worst offender for me is a DAP that, again, I talk about this, I have a love-hate relationship with the Canon N3 Ultra. I like the way it sounds. I don't like the UI. I don't like the fact that it doesn't matter. I like this player. It doesn't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, which is a perfect pairing for this because not that, and I'll talk about that in a bit, but it can't give any interference because there's none to give out. So I like this player, but it runs out of power. It's only got 600 milliwatts of power, but it just doesn't, even when it puts out 600 milliwatts of power, the amplifier that's inside this runs out of steam. There's just not the dynamics there. There's nothing left in the tank, right? Well, here's your tank. Boom, boom, away you go. One thing that I liked, which none of the Shandlings have, at least the ones that I have the outputs on the bottom. They're all on top, makes it much harder. But for all the other ones I have, like the XM5 from Onyx, and the iBasso DX180, love that pairing. I'll talk about that. The 340, outputs on the bottom, boom, boom. Here I'm using a DD Hi-Fi patch cord. I love this thing. It's a little bit longer than stock, which is perfect for me, and why I like their products. and then input on the front. So easy a way to go. But that's why you would use. So you like the sound of this, but it doesn't have enough power. Well, this is not too big a device where you could just pack along with it, and away you go. Now you've got a portable powerhouse in a smaller form factor. So that's really nice. What else do I like? Number 2 on my list was build quality. Yeah, I do like these little wings. They're not just for show. It does keep damage away from the knob getting pushed in or bumped. So I did like that. And I like the smaller form factor. I mean, so here's the D17, right? And this has got a case on it, but still, it's a chunky boy, transportable. And this is, from my opinion, still very portable. This is the same size as a DAC. I think, where's my Hibby R6 Pro 2? Very similar size as that. So quite nice there. And that's another one. Again, 600 milliwatts of power, runs out of juice. Even the DX180 for me, still very dynamic though, I think. But if I'm driving hard Dynaquattro headphones, 300 ohm Vanguard headphones, just runs out of juice, doesn't have enough to do it. There's a difference between loudness and dynamics and power and headroom. What's in the tank? If you're working at your maximum, there's nothing left to give when you have a bass drop, or there's nothing there. When you have amp that has power and reserve current and reserve, it's there, and it's controlling the cones of the drivers, and there's less distortion. So that's the one thing. So design, very nice. Layout, very nice. Switches, again, they seem durable. Again, long term, who knows? But I think they look quality, so I'm not really concerned about that very much at all. And speaking of that volume control dial, here's where I really do appreciate iBasso's engineering. I really do. They don't cheap out. Here they put a very high quality part in here, 4-channel device. I like how clicky it is when it turns on. I like how smooth it is, that you can do it well, and it's not. It just has that right amount of friction that you can turn up the dial with a finger, one finger, but it's not too loose where it would go up too fast. And speaking of that, the volume control steps that iBasso did, it goes up into a 0.5 decibel increment step, so quite relative and linear, so gives you lots of fine control over the volume. Really like that feature. Lots of thought, I think, went into that. Now, number 3, that the Faraday cage that looks like they put over top of them, because I think they put that there, if that in fact what it is, but they did something, obviously, because it does a very good job of keeping away any noise, RF interference from affecting the sound and entering through the tubes when you have the tube mode on. And it takes a lot to pick up any interference. I mean, I literally have to put my phone directly on top of it before I can pick up anything. If I'm tapping this thing, I know they have a really wicked suspension system for the tubes again. That's done really well. So you could be walking around with this on tube mode, and I haven't experienced anything, right? So I go on hikes all the time. Listening to this when I was testing it, and I didn't get not once. So that was quite nice. I like the layout. I know it's a weird, funny thing to say, but not all the time that comes into play. Like, I'm playing with this $5,000 Burson amplifier. I love the sound, but I'm saying, why wouldn't they do this? Why wouldn't they do that? You know what I mean? Where here I didn't have one of those really questions. Do I mind that it doesn't have a light on the front? No, actually, I quite like that because at night, when it's facing towards me, the light is at the back, and I'm not being bothered when I'm in bed and I'm listening. So sometimes, like the Galvatron, which I just did the VE one, it has this really intense blue light at the front of it, and it's blinding. And I find I have to turn it away or turn it backwards or something like that. I know, it's a weird thing. That's me. But it's not just me. I think it's a lot of people. So again, I don't mind that there's a light on the back. There's enough lights on the back to keep everyone happy. So the backlit tubes are another one that I will say I like the fact that they're subtle in the backlighting, and it's not overstated or gaudy. Quite classy, actually. And that stainless steel brushed looks premium. It does have a premium look and feel to it, but you look at this thing sideways, right? And all of a sudden it looks like something came up to it and just gave it a big slobber lick, right? One thing I wish iBasso would include in the package is a really nice cleaning cloth. That would be a nice touch. It doesn't include a case, and I did ask Paul from iBasso about that. Is there a case in the works? And his answer is, I don't think so. So that probably means a no. So eventually there will be, if there is already one, please leave it in the comments for others. If you see a second, third-party case out there, that'll work for the PB6. There probably already is one already. So, but I haven't seen one. I just like to take care of my stuff, and though I wouldn't mind if iBasso included a case for that. Charge me $40 more. I'll pay for a nice leather case for that. That'd be awesome. So, the power bandwidth switch. I will talk about it briefly. It basically says high and low. It is a nice touch. The description says it lowers distortion, increases dynamics by increasing the power bandwidth. Okay, not a whole lot more techie information about that, but to my ears, it just adds a subtle boost to clarity and gets a smidge more punchy in the bass. So I just left it on. Power enough on the battery for a truly portable powerhouse. So again, talking about battery life though, for me, I get about 4 2-hour sessions on this unit before it needs to recharge. So I'm fine with that. That works perfect for me. So what is that if you had the tubes on balanced, you'd probably get somewhere around 6 hours, where I get probably about 8 with mixed use. And it really depends on what you're driving it with, how loud you're driving it with, and tube on, tube off, whatever. So for me, it's fine. On low gain, the PB6 for me is really smooth, and this is one of the things that I was concerned about. It's really smooth and really well behaved when using some sensitive IMs. Zero noise that I could detect, like the background noise, no waterfall hiss, none of that stuff. On like the Galvatron, that thing has copious amounts of power. But if you had a sensitive IM, even a 16 ohm or 32 ohm, and you touch that volume control dial, it didn't go just from it, right? It was a bit scary at times, where this one felt perfectly in control all of the time. So that was nice. And what else did I really like to finish off the giant like list? Well, it's powerful enough to drive my 300 ohm Vanguard headphones. Excellent transients, lots of juice, lots of power. If anything, I think the PB6 sounds more powerful than the specs would indicate. That's for sure, right? So I was going to throw this up against the Kai Designs Tap 1 that I have, but I ended up buying a new one. So with a different DAC chip. So when I get that, I will go back and circle around and do a comparison with the PB6. But that's more power. That's like 3,900 milliwatts of power. More power than this even, but at a higher cost as well. So, but from, I hate doing comparisons, but from memory, they're both very clean. The PB6 is impressive, really is. As for what I would have liked to see better, this is kind of I didn't have a whole lot. I actually gave this another few days trying to give it some mindful thought to come up with this thing so it didn't sound like a complete shill session. And I didn't come up with a whole lot other than thinking, well, it would be nice if it had a case. That's pretty much it, honestly. I don't have anything bad to say about this thing at all. So I'm going to just finish up this feedback, my journey with the PB6, and saying I came away surprised how powerful and clean this sounded, and the fact that it is very neutral sounding, with lots of dynamics, and what you pair it with, your source, is going to determine really in the end how it sounds, right? Whether you use the tubes out of an N3 Ultra, or you pair it with the Atheris, right? You're gonna throw the R2R and tubes on this thing and then send it out to the Macaw to have a different colorful change, right? So to finally just answer that last big question, do I need it? Well, if you find that your gear is running out of juice and you want to up your game, PB6 is for you. Comes in at a very reasonable price, excellent build quality, has the tubes built in for some slight analog coloration, which I do appreciate quite a bit. It's throwing me back to the 80s. So wonderful piece again. Good job, iBasso. Out for now.